Hi guys, and welcome to Carbon Footprint Calculator developed using .NET MAUI. So let me show you guys how this works. So supposing we decide to change the value we have in here, and that is supposed to be the electricity usage, and here we say that the fuel, and here the mileage. All you need to do is to get the total carbon. Just click on that. There we go. That's the carbon footprint right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another video entirely, another tutorial. You guys see how to put one of these down. So let's exit out. Okay, now guys, we're starting a new project entirely. I'm actually using Visual Studio 2022. And next I'm going to click on create new project. Once you click on create new project, make sure you select .NET MAUI app. If you can't find it, just type in .NET MAUI right here, and you should be able to see the application, and that's it. Okay, once that is done, click on next. I'll give you a project name. I'm just going to call it MAUI Carbon. Okay, that will do. Click on next, and make sure your framework, you select the latest framework. Actually, I will be using the default that is there, the standard team support. So click on create. Once your system is ready, this is how it's going to look like, and if you like, you can even click on run. Once you run it, you will see a default interface in there that was already put in place right there, guys. That's the default system that is put in place, so you can see. Okay, I'm going to exit out, so we want to make changes to that. So first of all, we need the following. Let's come in here to the Solution Explorer. Inside the Solution Explorer, I'm going to double click on this main page .xm, xaml. Double click on it, and there we go. That is the label and the button that you guys saw earlier, and the image right there. Okay. Next, if I drop this down, I'm going to double click on the main page .xaml, double click on that, and here, this is where the function is, the function that was used to put together that. Here you can see they've actually put together a function. Anytime you click on the button, it will be incremented by 1. Let's run it and you see what I'm talking about. So let's drag this and just, alright, you see I'm going to click on this. Check that out. You can see click 1 time, click 2 times, and so on. Right, so I'm going to just clear everything here because I don't need it. But first of all, I'm going to need my application interface right there. That's the application interface right inside the, yeah, there we go. That is it right there. Double click on that. And here I'm going to change the look of the interface. Instead of me having a whole almost fill up window, I'm going to reduce the size to something like that. And where am I going to do that? I'm going to do that right here. Okay, right underneath here, what I'm going to do inside this protected override window, I'm going to just create a variable that I'll call window. Let's call that window. And I'm going to say it's going to be equals new window. And this very new window is going to be, it's going to take in the new main page. So let's just accept all of this and come right in here. And now just enter new main page there. Once that is done, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come right down here and let's just say we have hash if it's windows, use uppercase for that. With this Windows, I'm going to put a constant for that, constant integer, and this is going to be the desired size. Okay, and that's going to be for the width, and the width is going to be, let's make that about 512. So I'm going to copy that for the height. Let's just grab all of this, copy, drop it right there. And here this is supposed to have parentheses in there. Okay, now change this one to height. Yeah, your height, the choice is yours. I'm going to make my about 5, let's say 700. That is good. The next thing is this very width. I'm going to assign it to the window. So let's say this very window here, come right down here, paste it right there. And we just need to say dot width, and that is going to be equals the width that we have in here. Is that there? I'm going to repeat the same thing for the height, so I can just grab all of these and change it to height. Grab all of the side height and change that right here. And here, this is going to be the height. There we go. And next, I'm just going to say, let's end everything here. So end if, right, that should be a dash in there. And if you notice all the errors are gone. And why do we still have this? So all we just need to do is to return. Let's come right down here. There's a return, and that is going to be the window. There we go. If you notice, the error is gone. And you can always just try out your system now. So I'm just going to run that. Click on run. There, that is it. You see, as the width and the height. But the problem is you can still move it around if you want. Or you can just ask the system, do not move this around, do this as follows, or whatever you want the system to do. So you can always define the maximum and the minimum. So let's copy all of this and just use it to define maximum width and minimum width that you want. So let's come right down here. We'll paste that in there. Now I'm just going to change this to minimum width. We have the minimum width that is going to be the desired width, and the minimum height is going to be the desired height as well, which means you can't do nothing with it. So after that is done, I'm going to create another one for maximum width and maximum height. Paste that there and just change this to maximum. All right, so maximum. Yeah, and the setting is going to be maximum right here. There we go. And if you decide to run your program now, you will not be able to carry out any adjustment to it anymore. So let's click on run. Okay, I'm going to try to adjust now. See, I cannot adjust anymore. Take my word for it. You won't be able to adjust it anymore. And that is it. So I have officially taken care of my height and so on. Let's see. Let's try to get this indented here. Right. So have a good look at those lines of codes. You actually have to enter these lines of code in where we have app.xaml.cs, okay? And that is right inside app.xaml. Okay, I've finished taking care of that. The next thing we now need to do is let's just close this. We don't need this anymore, except maybe at the end we have a look at it again so that you guys can just close this. Save that. Yeah, let's run it one more time. Let's see, good, that's working. So now I'm going to get rid of all of these apart from the button. So let's go where we have the codes. I think the code is right here. Look at it. That is the lines of codes. The image, you can always change the image if you want. That is the image, but I am going to just leave the image. So we leave the image as it is. Or if you want, you can always change the image. The choice is yours. Now I'm going to create a label. It will be on or to be more economical, I can always use this very image, this very label that we have in here. Get the label that say hello world. If I run it, you will see that one more time. Let's see, it's coming out. That's the label that says hello world. So I'm going to change everything to as follows. So let's come in here and just bring that in so that we don't mess it up. Okay. Instead of hello world, I'm going to change this to something, let's say electrical usage or electricity usage. Okay, and I'm going to make that in kilowatts. So kilowatts. Yeah. And now I might as well just end that. I can always end that and just enter something else in here. So we can end it right there. So that's my text. But I also need a label. Sorry, I actually need a text box. Entry is called. Let's say entry. An entry is going to take in the variable x, and that's will be the name. The name on the entry is going to be, let's call it txt electricity. There we go. That's the name of my entry. And this entry will only take in numeric values. So we can always just specify that, let's say keyboard, that is going to be equals numeric. And that's it. I've just created my text entry. Close that. Get rid of this. Okay. So the first one is taken care of. So in that case, we can just copy this and just use it to replace all of this. Get rid of all of this. We don't need it. Delete. Grab all of this very first one. Come right down here. Paste. And paste again. So the second one here, that is going to be known as the fuel in liters. So let's come right down here and just change that to fuel. Fuel usage. That's going to be in liters. Close that off. And here the name of this is going to be txt fuel. There we go. And it's numeric as well. Next is going to be the transport. The transport is going to be in kilometers. Just change this to transport. Transport distance. Right. that is done. So let's change the name of the text box to our text entry to TXE transport. There we go. Next, I'm going to create a label right underneath here that I will use to display the results. So let's just say label. And since this label is going to be displaying results, so let's just say X. So taking the values, I'm going to say equals LBL result. And the text that should be displayed, let's say text, we can call that total carbon footprint. Yeah, total carbon footprint. Let's enter font there. We say font size. I think that maybe about 20. Okay, font size is 20. So I might as well copy to the others. Just copy that and paste that in here as well. So font size 20, font size 20 here as well. There we go. And the final or the last widget that I'm going to create is going to be the button. Let's say button. And this button is going to take in the following text. We can just say calculate carbon footprint in there. Okay, and let me paste this there first. And here is going to be just calculate carbon footprint. There we go. Let's close this up. Okay, next that I'm going to do now is if I run this, I will have an error because all the functions in here has now been used. This function with the previous function that come from the system itself. So all of these are not needed. I'm going to delete it for now. Okay, so all gone. If I decide to run it now, let's get rid of this. We don't need this as well. Now, if I decide to run it, all you will see is just my interface and nothing will happen. So let's see that. There we go. Look at my interface. So the button is a bit. Okay, that's my interface there. I can enter whatever I want in here and here, but there's nothing happening yet. Okay, that is the image. The image seems to be too wide or too long. Let's come in here. That's the image. I'm going to reduce this to about 140 so that there would be enough room for my button. So let's run it one more time. Run. Let's see. There we go. Now there's room for everybody. Okay, that's good. Now let's take care of the functions that we deal with the calculations right here. So for the function, I'm going to be using try cache so that if I dare run into any trouble, that will be taken care of. So you just type in try, enter statement block. Next, let's enter our cache statement right underneath here. So come right down here, just say cache, and that's going to be exception. Exception, just say exception now, do and enter your statement block. Okay, in the case of exception, I'm going to say LDL text, LDL result, I mean the text that is going to be equals That is if there's any error. An unexpected error. Okay, so that's taken care of. That'll be the error message that will be displayed. Now let's take care of the calculations. But first of all, we need to declare some variables. So let's come right in here inside try itself. And I will declare the following. There we go. Those are the variables that I intend to use. One for the electricity emission, fuel emission, transport emission factor. Okay, have a good look at it. Electricity emission factor, fuel emission factor, and transport emission factor, and I've given them value each. All right, now that that is done, we now need to just create a retriever for that. Okay, right underneath the variable here, I will start by using a Boolean expression. Boolean, let's say, is electricity value. If it's valid, then I'm going to then say double dot try has the electricity txt electricity. Let's say txt electricity dot text, and that is going to be out double. So comma out double electricity usage, out double electricity usage. That is, I save that and just enter usage here. Okay, that's the first one. The next one is going to take the same order. Let's just copy this and change it around. That's going to be for the fuel and the transport. This is for the fuel. Change this to fuel. Good. And change this to fuel as well. Right, then change this here to fuel. Done. Next, transport is transport. Yeah, let's copy that instead of typing. And this is going to be transport, txt transport, tst transport usage here. Done. Okay, in the case of transport usage, that is going to be now transport distance, not usage. Remember, so distance then. There we go. And this is usage. Okay, that's fine. Now, using an if statement, we now want to check what's going to happen. Let's say if not is electricity, or I want to accept this, then just enter and pop in there instead of and. Okay, change this to here, just enter all. Okay. Is electricity valid, or is fuel, or let's change this to or as well. And in this case, it's going to be is transport valid. That paste it right here. Okay. Now let's enter curly braces there. There we go. So what I've just done here is if it's not this, if it's not electricity, if it's not fuel, or if it's not transport, and I want this very one, this label, I want you to display the following. Let's just enter an error message there. Error. Yeah, let's just please enter valid number. Valid number or numbers. Okay, there we go. That is taken care of. Okay, and we'll just say return. Brilliant. Else, that means calculation can take place. We just ask it to calculate the emission. So right underneath here, we can take care of that. Let's say double. Electricity emission. It's very one. Grab all of all of these. Dump it right here. Electricity emission, in that case, the calculation of that is going to be the electricity usage, and we multiply that by the emission, electricity emission factor, right here. Let's hit multiply. Here we go. So the first one is taken care of. The same thing is going to apply to the next one. In this case, we're talking of the fuel. Let's grab a hold of all of these. Copy, paste it right underneath here. No, do that right underneath here. Paste. So that is going to be fuel emission. That's going to be fuel usage. Fuel usage. There we go. Fuel usage multiplied by the emission. Done. Grab hold of transport. Paste that here. Transports emission, and accept that as well. And that's it. The calculation is taken care of. Now we now want to calculate the total emission. In this case, total emission will just be all of this. Come right down here and say double. That's going to be total emission. Emission. Right. And just add up all of these. This is total emissions equals this emission here plus fuel emission plus transport emission. There we go. And finally, we just need to display this total emission. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Or let's copy this first. The label, that's where we're going to be displaying everything. Come right down here, paste. Okay. And that is going to be, let's get it formatted. Let's enter a dollar sign. There. And we'll say total carbon footprint. And that is going to be as follows. Let's grab hold of the total emission, enter it into a statement block, and that is going to be format into two and display it in kilograms, the CO2. All right there, guys. So all that is left for us to do now is to call this very function. Okay, I'm going to copy that function, go straight in here where I have my widget, the buttons right here. So right here, I'm going to define the event I intend to use, which is going to be click. There we go. And that is going to be equals. There, that's all. Done. Okay, have a good look at it. I'm going to save that and let's run it and see. Click on run. Hopefully all should be well with it. There we go, guys. That's good. So let's try it out with some numbers. There we go. Check that out, guys. Look at that. And that's how you create your own carbon footprint calculator. I'm going to just kind of like exit out. Let me show you guys the lines of codes again. You see right here, this is the function. This is the function that actually took care of, or that takes care of the carbon footprint calculator itself. So have a good look at it. Okay, so bring it right down. And this function, you actually create that function inside the main page dot xaml dot cs. Okay, that's where you have to create that very function right here. You bring it down so that you see the rest of the codes. That is it. You can always pause your video, or you can always pause the video tutorial to have a look at the lines of codes. There, that takes care of that. And now for the interface, the widgets. There we go. Those are the lines of codes that took care of that. The labels, entry widgets, label, entry widgets, and so on. And finally, a button there. Okay, let's take it from the top, bring it down. All right, and the interface itself, these are the lines of code for the interface. Look at it. All right, I'll just use that to define the size of my interface. Without that, the whole system will just be all over the place. So let's try it one more time. All right, brilliant. So I'm just going to enter some value in there. Enter whatever here for the transport. Click on that. Total carbon footprint is as follows. So with that, guys, I'm calling the end of this tutorial. I suppose you guys enjoyed it, and please do subscribe to my channel, and you can also join to become a member of the channel. You all have a nice day now, and bye for now.